Alrighty, I am live. Just trying to send this out. Hello, welcome in. Some peeps. How are you doing tonight, Jimmy? Hello, everyone. How's everybody been doing? I am on YouTube and TikTok. First time I'm trying this, so we'll see how it goes. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome in. Just doing a little culty book. Um, yeah, what is that called? Club? That's what we're doing here. Hello, Phantom X. How are you? Oi. Hello, hello. Hey, Buddy Christ. JFK. How are y'all doing? So I posed the question earlier today because I don't plan things in advance. I get ideas. Hey, Kit. Good to see you. I plan things, spur of the moment, and I thought, hey, this would be really cool because I never really know what to talk about on my Thursday night lives. I've been going live on TikTok every Thursday. And since this could possibly be the last Thursday that we will have TikTok, I figured I would simultaneously cast also on YouTube. Hello, is that David? Um, so yeah, doing the whole TikTok and YouTube thing. Oh, hey Jenny. Never know which one of y'all it is. um, okay, I gotcha. Not a problem. But and that's kind of why I wanted to try and do it on YouTube as well, because I know some people still have not decided to oh, okay, have decided to do TikTok. So, all right. So, I did a vote and I got two votes. I got one for uncultured. Is that what it is? It's uncultured for Daniela Messinek. Um, oh, Young, I think it's her last. I'm not sure. And then I got a vote for the IFB book. So, Kit, I didn't see your vote. I was gonna either I have the uncultured book I have on audiobook so we can listen to it. And then I have the IFB book on my Kindle. So I was gonna do a book club and I'm gonna read or we'll listen to an audiobook depending on which format I have it in. So my elbow is just cracked. And we can read along and discuss as we're reading because I really don't want to talk about the men's manual every single day of the week. Oh, the IFB book. Okay, two. All right, we got two votes for the IFB book. All right. So on YouTube, I can share the book and you can read along. So if that's what you want to do, um, y'all can hop over to YouTube if you want to, or you can stay here. Either way. Let's get this sharing. All right, Phantom X. We are going to that. What is this? I should have put my other screen up. No, that's not work. What I want to do is I want to make it bigger. How do I make it bigger? Huge width. See if that works. Oh, there we go. Whoa. All right. I got to figure out how to function here, apparently. All right. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I might have to plug in my other screen so I can actually read. Oh. I'm coming back in a minute. All right. Okay. Pardon me while I get myself set up here. Apparently, I am incapable of doing things anymore because I am so out of practice. Appreciate that. Okay, so let me see. Come on. Make this bigger. Okay, there we go. Phantom, can you see that pretty good on your screen? All right. Growing up, IFB. Reflections on the toxic environment of the independent Baptist movement. And I'll get this by Jonathan Grisham. All right, this was 2021 is the copyright, so it's fairly new. To those who have the courage to leave the cult and find peace. Let's see. Preface. My name is Jonathan Grisham Birchfield. I grew up in a small town church called Bokey Road Baptist Church, now Faithway Baptist Church of Evansville, Indiana. My parents, Patrick, Rick or Pat, Alan Grisham, and Cynthia Grisham, attended this church my entire childhood and into my adulthood. They raised myself, my younger brother, and sister in this church. I graduated from the church's school, Southside Christian School, and went to study secondary education at Crown College of the Bible in Powell, Tennessee. So now y'all will find out. Oh my gosh. So y'all will see how poorly I read, and I have to edit out all my blunders on the thing, on the recorded podcast. So it is my hope and prayer that this book reaches those who would benefit the most from it. Preachers, currently IFB members, and survivors of the IFB movement. Here is my story. Part 1, the early years. Going back as far as I can remember, we attended church every time the doors were open. That sounds familiar, huh? Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and every special service. I am still in contact with a dear lady. Oh, Phantom, can you hear me better now? I forgot to turn my mic on. Going back as far as I can remember, we attended church every time the doors were open, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and every special service. I am still in contact with a dear lady who helped take care of me in the nursery when I was still an infant. My parents, on the surface, appeared oh, okay, sorry. To be normal, conservative Christian, small town family. It was just a facade. It was a shifty cover for a home and church full of abuse and brainwashing.
I remember at a very, very young age making a profession of faith just because everyone else was doing it. It was a small teen rally that Gail Russ's son, Tim Russ, was putting together. That name sounds familiar. Does that name Tim Russ um ring a bell with anybody? Okay. I don't remember like ever hearing him preach or anything, but that name sounds familiar. So, um my dad was so proud. Um I'd have to Google it. Let's Google it. Let's Google who Tim Russ is. Mm, Let me get another window. Tim Russ, IFB Church. Okay, so a pastor who has preached sermons for Volusia County Baptist Church, and his sermons are available on sermon audio, including those from Founders Conference 2015. Looks like he is, well, there's a clip on YouTube for Faithway Baptist Church. So it always surprises me that other churches were allowed to do teen events. So y'all weren't allowed to do teen, like the IBLP didn't really have like teen stuff, right? Like they were all like the whole family is together kind of thing. So some of them did, some of them didn't. Oh, click the wrong thing. All right. So there were several kids answering the prolonged altar call. My dad was so proud as he carried me out of church and went over to one of his coworkers' cars to have me inform them of my profession of faith. I did not get baptized because I was so young. I did not understand that. I did not understand. Fast forward a few years later, November of 1994, my mother led me to Christ. Not the cookie cutter sinner's prayer, but real conviction and repentance. Soon after, I followed the Lord in baptism. My mother, for all her faults, is just a product of her environment. She loves the Lord, but is very caught up in the IFB movement. Yeah, Tim Russ was Tuvok on Star Trek Voyager. The IBLP started as a solution for teen rebellion. It was originally called the Institute for Basic Youth Conflicts or something. Yeah, yeah, Institute for Basic Youth Conflicts. Yeah. So that was Gothard's answer to sex, drugs, and rock and roll in the 60s. Okay. So moving on. I thank God every day for her gentle ways as kindness was in short supply during those days. For being so sheltered, I soaked up information like it wouldn't be there tomorrow. I knew, wow, that is such a good description of like when you first get, born again in IFB movement is like um soaking up information like it wouldn't be there tomorrow. That is an excellent description. I knew how to read extremely early, and by the third grade, my reading comprehension was on a 12th grade level. My grandmother on my dad's side was a huge contributing factor in my love of books. However, books have knowledge, and part of the IFB cult movement is the restriction of outside knowledge. Right? Right? uh, I didn't want to soak any of that info up. Oh man. Jenny, your dad was a pastor, right? Do I remember that correctly? Okay, yeah. I can understand why. You were like really, really in it. Yeah. My mom was restricting what I read when I was 22. Wow, Kit. Holy shit. That's It's understandable, but it still blows my mind that the IBLP was still controlling their adult children. Like, it just blows my mind to that extent. My my parents couldn't control what my sister read because she would read so much they couldn't read all of the books that she wanted to read, so that's how she got around that one. Founder of the Baptist Bible Fellowship and Baptist Bible College. Oh, okay. He was mentored under J. Frank Norris. I'm not familiar with that. Y'all are more of the northern IFB. I was in the like South Bruckman IFB. So I know there were some crossovers and stuff. Okay. Gotcha. See, I never got into the history of the IFB that much. So I just knew Ruckman and Hiles Anderson. Okay. Um, let's see, where was I? I was immediately restricted on what I could read. Certain publishers, Sword of the Lord, remember that one, BJUP, Revival Fires, etc. Yes, Phantom, that one. Um, certain approved self-published authors, and of course, anything that wasn't on the approved list, there was something wrong with it, whether it had been read or not. And Ruckman was always the special speaker at our youth camp every year. Okay. They played hockey together? You're Oh, really? Okay. That's so crazy. Let me do a little bit more. Okay. That's so crazy how all of those like people interconnect and like where did you grow up, Jenny? Cuz you're more north, right? But you also like I've heard you talk like you Detroit. Okay, Michigan. Okay. Yeah. So, um you went to BJU? Okay. Music was also Music was another huge factor in my life. I started taking lessons on the piano early on as well. I completed I competed in a couple Christian school contests that our church school attended. Over the course of time, I was drawn to the twangy soulfulness of the Southern gospel style. I loved the harmony and many I loved the harmony and many songs. This was quickly squelched. Our church ran faith music missions, which produced traditional gospel music by like minded churches and individuals. Paul Chapel School? Okay. And West Coast in Cali. Okay. Gotcha. This ministry was started by Gail Edward Russ. So I'm guessing either the Russ's mother or the Russ's wife, and has continued to this day, currently running under Edward Russ, his son. Gail barely had a high school education from a. Oh, Gail, maybe a dude? Gail? Gail barely had a high school education from a tiny country town in Kentucky. He quickly became friends with Jack Hiles, Shelton Smith, David Gibbs Sr., and many other big names in the IFB community. These affiliations led him to start this ministry and over the years attempt to become the Baptist Music Police. My parents were of the persuasion if it wasn't produced by FMM, then it was not acceptable music. How many CDs did you have of all of the families that were missionaries in the IFB would produce? What the gosh, what was his name? The biker dude. Spurgeon, Spurgeon's kids. I had so many of their CDs. And then in IBLP, we had, a bunch of classical musicians that, they would have all of their instrumental CDs and stuff. It was lots and lots of bluegrassy or classical. You weren't allowed to even the IBLP ones? Wow. Mm. I'm not sure if I blocked out much of my younger life, but I don't have any happy memories as a young child. I remember the endless sermons, the same hymn sung every service, the constant begging for money. I could go on and on. The biggest thing I remember is discipline techniques. In the IFB world, there is a book that is highly regarded entitled To Train Up a Child, which is also IFB world, the IBLP world as well, by the Pearls. My parents subscribed to this abusive philosophy of breaking a child's will with severe corporal punishment. Sometimes my siblings and I were forced to pick our own switch from the backyard, but most of the time a large paint stick for the 5-gallon drums or a leather belt was used. Tracy Collins was your Tracy Collins. That name sounds familiar, but my brain is not connecting it. Um, so I was talking to a survivor recently, and it just broke my heart when she told me what her parents used for discipline. Like the paint stick and the glue sticks was like the go-to for I I was in IBLP and IFB as an adult. So I really didn't have that experience with discipline in my childhood. Um but she told me that they used a broomstick. Like I don't know how thick it was, but even the tinier broomsticks are hard as hell. I was like, "Man, that's insane." Hmm. Yeah. Oh, okay. No, so Tracy Collins was one of the main musicians in IBLP. Yeah, I mean the name is familiar, but I can't like place it in my memory. You had to pick your own switch from the backyard. That was very common. That was definitely from To Train Up a Child. I was forced to bend over the bed, pants and underwear down, and endure X a number of swats. Unless my dad was really upset, then it was just blind beating until he calmed down. Mm. Many times, as I was a sensitive child, I would beg and plead through my tears for it to stop, but the blows would keep coming. I would have angry welts across my buttocks, legs, and lower back. From time to time, the spankings would draw blood. Or don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying that. Um, when he was done with the physical rendering of punishment, I was left to rot in my shared bedroom, shaking and trying to hold back tears, as that would just result in more discipline. Another favorite discipline tactic was to grab me by the ear and dig his thumbnail into my earlobe, which has left scars. We love the TikTok shop, TikTok shop, TikTok shop. Hello, Revolutionary Kentucky. For entertainment purposes only. um Gosh, wow. That's intense. Digging his thumbnail into his earlobe. Like ears are really sensitive. I couldn't imagine trying to like pull my kid by their ear. You get a better grip if you like do the Vulcan neck grip. Just, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. Oh. Completely unaware of the scarring until I was getting a piercing. There was nothing more terrifying than your earlobe being dug into while in church and his angry voice whispering, "Just wait till we get home." Mm. That gives me the chills just reading that. Ugh. Hmm. Well, how about starting that book off in the deep end? We going right for the deep end here. Oh, man. My mother was somewhat softer, and she didn't have the disposition for violent discipline. Oh, at least one of them didn't. If me or my siblings did something considered wrong, she would call and snitch to my dad while he was at work. That resulted in wait till your father gets home. That's like such a psychological torture method. The anticipation, especially if you're a young child, right? Like that anticipation of when your dad's going to get home, and then you're sitting there thinking about it for hours, depending on what time of day this happened. Oh, oh. I couldn't even imagine doing that to my kids. I may have when they were little, because, that's what to train up a child tells you to do. After I saw how my ex responded to my kids, I really did kind of not really tell him a whole lot, unless it was like something that there was evidence of that I needed to tell him. Because even if I disciplined him, he would discipline them 3 times as hard as I did. So at some point, I was just like, we're not going there. Um, of course, there was a beating. This also tied directly into school. I was homeschooled by my mother until 3rd grade, after which I was enrolled in the church school. If I had homework, demerits, or God forbid detention, that was another reason for a vigorous discipline. I don't know if I could say that on TikTok. TikTok shop, TikTok shop. Trying to make my words not get us disconnected here today. Looking back, it's almost as if he took out his anger and frustration on us kids. I can understand that. It's so frustrating to me talking to so many survivors that the parents expected the children to have emotional regulation, but none of the parents ever had their own emotional regulation. Wanting the kids to act better than you do is insane to me. Imagine being under the age of 10 and walking on eggshells because you were afraid of what he might do. I remember on blah, blah. I remember one specific instance when Harry Potter first came out. My cousin was reading the first book, and of course it looked interesting, and it still is. I expressed an interest in reading it. What came after that expression still to this day shocks me. I was met with a shocking triad about how there is explicit witchcraft spells in those books, and then he beat the Harry Potter temptation out of me. Ugh. Hey, Ashley. We're reading a book. Thank you from Heart Me. We're reading a book from a survivor from the Independent Fundamentalist Baptist Church. I don't understand why that would elicit discipline, just because, like, he had no idea what was in that book, I'm sure. That's insane. One night after a particularly violent encounter with my dad, I remember hearing my mother crying through the vent from the basement. He immediately raised his voice at her for questioning his authority. Looking back, I sometimes wonder what kind of torment she has gone through. That's, a valid point, because a lot of times, all right, Kit, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Um, you know, the moms were typically part of that cycle. Hmm. What time is it? All right. Um. All right, we're on part 2. Mm. So, what do you think of the book so far? Like I said, dove into the deep end with this one. He did not mince his words in that first part. Oh, oh my goodness. All right. Part 2. Growing up. In 1999, my father decided to start a business called Faith Music and Books. Yeah, it is. At the time, the church did not have a distributor for their music ministry, and my father volunteered my mother to run this business. Don't you just love that? Like, here, my wife hasn't nothing to do during the day, homeschool kids, clean house, do laundry. Let me make her volunteer to run a business. I remember spending countless hours sitting in the back of the store doing absolutely nothing while my mother worked herself nearly to death. Close to this time, my grandmother, my dad's mother, moved from New Mexico to help with the bookstore. Right? So typical of the man to be like, here, my wife is available. Use her. As an already elderly lady, she worked herself to the bone, pulling over 40 hours per week. Abusing labor. Love it. I mean, I don't know if like he saw it at the time or he's reflecting like when he was reflecting back on it that you realize what it was. Because as a kid, I don't know how old he was in 1999. It's kind of hard to determine like what age he is during these events. But he may not have been aware of it while he was growing up, but while he was, reflecting as an adult, he may have realized, oh wow, they really worked themselves to death. Things started to pick up as the internet started to be more accessible to the masses. FMM, part of the church, decided they wanted to be the sole distributor of their music due to the fact they could make more money. Long story short, there was a rift created between the bookstore and the church, which had long worked together. Isn't there always a rift? Like every single IFB church that I have ever been to had some kind of split at some point because people just cannot, like, if you're not going to do it the way I want you to do it, then we just cannot work together. So legalistic. This started the deterioration between the pastoral staff and my family, leading to confrontations in church, long secretive phone calls, and other shady activity. Confrontations in church. They usually, like, sometimes, I guess sometimes they do, like, have their confrontations out loud, but then sometimes they hide them and secretly, like, have them. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I guess it just depends on what it is. When it's all said and done, the church took over the music distribution and the bookstore continued to resell, but not as the sole distributor. None of this was biblical, as the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. What my dad marketed as a ministry is an incorporated for-profit business, right? Right? Like that's the thing, they would charge for all of these things, say, "Oh, we're only charging like the cost of it and stuff," but then, you know, obviously they're making money off of it. So, We would travel from church to church and from pastor's conference to Bible conference. The Sword of the Lord, Crown Bible Conference, Pastor School, Hiles the Shap, Shap, and several less prominent ones. My father would always have the trailer full of Bibles, KJV only, I might add, and books to sell under the guise of mission work. We always went back to the cult like church. We always went back to the cult like church from which we came. Oh, the cult like church from which we came. Sword of the Lord. I know. Wasn't that a magazine? No amount of animosity from the pastoral family would dissuade my parents from being involved in the IFB cult. Hey, Cassie, how are you doing? We're reading a book, IFB survivor book. So Sword of the Lord, was that a magazine, Jenny? I can't remember. A newspaper publication, yeah. There's a lot of like IBLP and IFB type publications. I know the Pearls had one at some point. I'm trying to think of the other ones that my mom had. I'm so glad I forget some of these things. But it's a group of pastors and evangelists that get together each year for a revival. Oh, yeah. Oh, the Sword of the Lord conference. Yeah. I remember that. Mm-hmm. Memories getting triggered. The tensions created between my parents and the pastoral staff directly affected myself and my younger siblings. We were singled out for special punishments and shunned in the church school. That's what? Why do they? Oh, your father-in-law is a part of it? Okay. Ex-father-in-law. Okay. Why? That is so shameful that they would take out their problems with the parents on the kids. That is just so shameful. Ex-pastor Gail Russ's grandchildren were one of the worst problems. I cannot tell you how many times I was shoved into a half-filled trash can. Charlie Horst. Thank you, Ashley. Bullied and ostracized from the in crowd. I remember being picked up from school crying because of what I had endured from those children. Keep in mind, the IFB movement guides each family very specifically on what is acceptable in their eyes. So everyone read the same parenting books, went to the same meetings, and participated in much of the same behaviors. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty, like, that's very common, I'm sure, for the people who are not the elite of IFB. I know in like IBLP, you had the hierarchy of families, and the more devout you were, the more you um the more status you would have, you know. So um just realized I have like 18,000 windows open. My computer might work faster if I didn't have all of this stuff open. It was kind of the opposite in your dad's church. The adults were super mean to you. Oh, because you were the pastor's kid. I think adults were just mean to kids in general in IFB. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard any kid say that they didn't have some kind of bully, either adult or child. Yeah, I remember you saying that on your podcast episode of how your dad didn't. Hi, David. Didn't really back you up, which is crazy that the pastor was not like vehemently defending his children to the church. Like that just boggles my mind. One day, my dad decided to get dial up internet for the house around the time his father moved in with us. Of course, us kids were never allowed to touch the computer. Around the age of 12, I began to have same sex attractions. Homosexuality was a taboo topic. The only thing I knew about it was preachers hated the gays and they were all going to get AIDS and go to hell. TikTok shop, TikTok shop. This is, of course, not something I wanted, but I snuck around and did some research online. I found out I was not alone. Being gay is normal. Well, my parents found out and forced me into counseling with Gail Russ, who, ironically, was allegedly um, messing around with children around the same time. That's because they would probably find out daddy was looking at some stuff they shouldn't see. Exactly. Gosh, I heard the same thing so much, right? Oh. This was the beginning of the end. So that was 12. He was 12 then. Hmm. All right, that was the end of part 2. I don't know. It doesn't say yet. You want me to continue on with part 3? Do more, do more, do more? This is actually written really well. Okay, do it. All right, let's do this. So, David, I'm reading the IFB book from Jonathan Grisham, and we are on part 3, high school. This was where I began questioning the ideals and standards that were so strictly enforced. Not outwardly, of course. I had been bullied and abused into silence, terrified to question authority in any fashion. Things didn't make sense. The ACE curriculum being used in the school church had not been updated since the late 80s, so my schooling was minimal and scientifically incorrect in many ways. Yeah, it's kind of neat to hear a guy's perspective in the IFB. I agree. I was kind of there it is, ACE. Look, IFB had ACE and then IBLP had ATI, and both of them were scientifically inaccurate and never updated. Shocked face. My jaw did not drop to the floor. The gay scare seemed to have faded from memory as I conformed to all the rigid rules and regulations. I was forced to play on the basketball team that was thrown together in our tiny school. Keep in mind, I was very small for my age and not in the slightest bit athletic. One of the more creative punishments the school created, especially for me, was to run laps around the parking lot. So if I got detention, instead of writing sentences, I was forced to run a certain number of laps. Couple that with basketball practice immediately after, which we ran several miles as well, I was on the verge of physically collapsing. Don't forget, the beatings hadn't stopped for detention or homework. Hmm. Right? Oh, poor baby. During this time, I turned to writing. I loved the idea of horror fiction, and even though my only exposure had been excerpts from Edgar Allan Poe from literature, nevermore, quoteth the raven, nevermore. Speaking of ATI, next episode is about Blessed Are the Persecuted. Oh, you have a lot to say about that, Phantom. I bet you do. That's gonna be a good one. Um, I got into Edgar Allan Poe when I was in high school as well. I was a little morbid teenager, kind of little. I was trying to decide if I should have a drink tonight. This is now confirmed. I'll be drinking. Love it, David. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna go have one after. That is for sure. Let all of the memories just drip from my brain with the wine. Is that even a question? Awesome. I need to get my little tumbler and have my husband bring me some drink. Oh, and your chocolate, of course, Jenny. Always your chocolate. Oh my goodness. So, fresh out of the excitement of finishing my first story, my mother read it and was appalled at the minor violence that was in my story. I was not encouraged to continue writing. Yes. When my head goes off screen, you know what I'm doing. Yes. Oh man. Oh, go figure he wasn't encouraged to write anymore. Oh my gosh. Okay, so when my oldest was about 6, 8, no, he would have been older than that, about 8 to 10. I was working at a hospital and they would have book fairs, and he loved pew pews. And so I got like, and he loved history. So I got this book. It's like the history of pew pews. And I think he brought it to school once. That didn't go over well. But then several times throughout his schooling, I would get calls about him drawing pew pews in his notebook. And I'm like, he's a boy. Like, he's not drawing like graphic art of people getting pew pewed. It's just the stationary thing. We love TikTok Shop. We love TikTok Shop. So, yeah, that was a thing. I also had one of my kids get in trouble for saying they were going to explode the moon. But instead of explode, it was, I was like, that's not even possible. How can he even get in trouble for that? Barbies? Oh my gosh, David, you were drawing Barbies and got in trouble? That's hilarious. Oh man. Okay, so he wasn't encouraged to continue writing. In fact, if I was sitting down writing, I would be forced to break my train of thought for the endless chores that they would summon out of thin air. My brother and I were their personal servants, cleaning the house, mowing the yard, weeding the garden, and on and on. One of the repeated sayings I remember was, idle hands are the devil's tool. David's Barbies were too. I bet you they have the best Barbie clothes. Oh my goodness. Let me grab some water real quick. Ugh. Oh no. Ah, my office is on a tilt. I got stuck. Ugh. Okay, I'm back. Ugh. My buddy and kid sister, yes. My buddy and me. Kid sister, wherever she goes. Wherever I go, she goes. Whew. Y'all getting me all worked up. All this laughing. All right, let's see. Um, idle hands, devil's tools. I was aggressively disciplined for the last time at the age of 15. I will never do Conspiracy Mondays with y'all. It is so triggering for me. I apologize. I tried to do one with y'all. I was like, nope. Nope the fuck. When you have a family member that is very susceptible to those things and is still in a cult, it's really hard to look at it in a humorous or, jovial way. It just gets really heavy for me. No, you're fine. You're going to do the Denver airport next. Okay. What is the Denver airport about? I might. No, you're fine. You would have never known. And I wanted to let y'all know, like, that's why I'm not there on Monday, but I just hadn't got a chance to let y'all know. But I will definitely be there for the Tuesdays. I love the Tuesday lives. So so anyway, a question for y'all. There's, potential that TikTok is going to go away, but a lot of people are saying that they don't think it's going to go away. But if it does, are y'all going to do lives on YouTube then? So Phantom, I have on TikTok some people that do some podcasts. They have like 3 or 4 podcasts that they run, and they're hanging out with me over here, and so they do lives on TikTok a lot. So Tuesday is changing a bit. Okay. Okay, open discussion. That's cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. You send me a message and let me know where to go find a y'all. I'd like, if it goes away, I'm probably going to focus a lot on Substack cuz you can go live on there as well. And the uh the people who are on Substack seem to be more in line with my views, I guess. They are on YouTube. They do have a YouTube channel. It's the Process Podcast. Is that what is um the Process Podcast, and then Unholier Than Thou Podcast. So, and don't y'all have a third one? What's the Process? Okay, and what's the true crime one? I forget. Unholier Than Thou. There's a couple Unholier Than Thous, but I think if you look in my subscriptions, you'll be able to find the Unholier. I haven't followed the Process one on YouTube yet. True crime journals. So yeah, they're really good. They have a lot of guests from different fundamentalist groups. I'm going to be on there in a couple of weeks. Hey, did y'all figure out what date my episode's going to air? Y'all were supposed to tell me. Y'all didn't. I'm messing with y'all. Black logo with the flame, right, is the Unholier. Okay. I know, I'm excited for it. It's a really long one, David. I'm sorry. I apologize. You're gonna have to do. You might just split it up into 2. All right. So he got his last oh, thank you. He got his last aggressive discipline at the age of 15. Punishments after that got more and more creative since they determined that aggressive discipline for him was not having the desired effect. First, they took away his books, my books. I'm reading, I'm not describing. I was only allowed to read the Bible. Then they limited my food options. Oh, wow. Then I was confined in a room and not allowed to leave except for church, school, and meal times. Whoa, May 20th. Ooh, that's 5 days before my birthday. Awesome. Do-do-do-do-do. Confined to his room and not allowed to leave except for church, school, and meal times. That's insane. Ugh. Around the age of 16, I began to be less rebellious and conform outwardly. Now, this had no bearing on my salvation, as I never doubted my faith in God, but I had serious doubts about the IFB standards and corruption that I was beginning to see happening all around me. Now, I understood some of the thinly veiled threats towards me. Now, I understood some of the thinly veiled threats towards me. I started a list of all the books I wanted to read, movies I wanted to watch, and things I wanted to experience that I was never allowed to participate in. Did any of y'all have lists of things that y'all weren't allowed to do, movies y'all weren't allowed to watch that you like had so when you got to move out the house you would be able to do those? Yep. So it's like there's like I have all of the like cultural, like references till about 18 and then there's like some huge gaps here and there from like 18 to about 30 where I like wasn't as in it, but as, like I was also, a mom too, so you're not always in it as a mom, but being, a new mom and being an IFB and IBLP and not being like so there's like this gap in my adulthood, but I have like a lot of the 80s and 90s references that, cuz I was a heathen until I was 18. So it's kind of weird. Let's see, where was I? The list. A dear lady who taught in our school was so very kind and understanding, assisted me in getting reading material. Oh, that was nice. Much of which would have been unapproved, but opened my eyes to different viewpoints which I'd never been exposed to. Ooh, she probably would have gotten in trouble if she would have been caught doing that, exposing a young mind to the world outside of IFB. What? There were a bunch of things I wasn't allowed to watch. The only thing that sticks out in my mind was Ghostbusters. Wow, okay. Mm, all right. Ooh. I graduated in 2008. The expectation was that I would continue in a like minded Bible college, preferably Hiles Anderson or similar. I ended up at Crown College of the Bible in Powell, Tennessee. First time I had ever been on my own. Ah, oh, puzzle piece. Right? That woman was a godsend to him. Oh, that's where your ex went? That's where you live. Oh, cool. You graduated from Powell, David? That's awesome. I mean, kind of. I don't know. Oh. Mm. All right. That was the end of part 3. David didn't go to Crown. Okay. Different thing. The town is Powell. The college was Crown College. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. I think I am done reading. I think that's all I can do for today. I wonder how. See that the way I have it, there's we're on page 14 of 60. So it's not that long of a book. Let's see. Part There's 11 parts and then a couple other chapters. Oh, you're welcome. I needed to figure out something else to do than just talk about the same thing over and over again. So, I enjoyed reading that. and I don't get a whole lot of time to read. So this actually makes me read more reading in this past 10 weeks that I've been doing this series on the men's manual than I probably have in about 10 years. Other than work, because I read. That's the thing, is like I read all day long at work, and so reading at home is just not something that I really do for fun because I'm just tired of reading. Yes, it was so fun. I really appreciate y'all coming and hanging out with me. And thank you, Phantom X, for being here. Um, so yeah, do y'all want to talk about anything else? Do y'all have any feedback on the book, thoughts, opinions? I read people for garbage stuff. David, man, I love it. It's really well written. So I like it. It's very engaging. We started in the deep end. I'm hoping we're gonna get yeah, it is really short chapters. It's not that big of a book, so it'll be a quick thing. We'll do it again. We'll read more next Thursday, and then I have a few other books that we can read. So yeah, I like this book club thing. Hopefully, I don't get any copyright strikes on my YouTube. I've kind of why I was like breaking it up every once in a while, so like fair use can be claimed, and ad-libbing and opinionating, so I don't get in trouble on the Tiki Talkies or the YouTubies for copyright infringement. TikTok shop. So yeah. Mm. So there's some really interesting episodes coming up next week or the following week. Um, I would really like to find somebody who has some, like, a biblical scholar of sorts. Someone who kind of knows about, like, the history of some things, because I found something in my deep dive, and somebody. Okay, yes, I would like to. Hey, strong-willed child, good to see you. Um, a girl that reads Stephen King and her on her channel. If she doesn't get CC claimed, I doubt. Oh, okay, cool, awesome. That's good to know. So, yeah, because so I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a paper that was written by somebody, and I'm not going to say her name because you got to wait. Um, in 1975, I think. And from my research, it seems like that was the pivotal point in how interpretations went from, I don't know what. That's the thing I want to find out. Like, what was the common interpretation before this paper to the um submission teaching that women want, nope, not Gail Ripplinger. Um and then it went to a more that the desire of women is to control their husbands, and that's like the result of the sin of Adam and Eve. And I had never heard this woman before. Of course, I have never looked at any of Bill Gothard's sources. And so, yeah, I was like, I need to know more about this. And there's very limited information on her on the internet. And it's like she wrote this paper, she wrote one book, and then she disappeared off the face of the earth. There is no death date, there's no birth date for her on Wikipedia. Yes. And it's like either something happened in her life and she was pushed out, or maybe what she wrote was misinterpreted, and then the fundies just in all of the mainstream Christianity started going with that, and she was trying to push back and they pushed her out. Like, that's the only thing I can think. She either like got a divorce or something, and so she wasn't approved to be a teacher, or and then also Bill Gothard referenced a woman's paper. That shocked me in and of itself. So, yeah. So, I will send you her name in a message. Um, but yeah, I was like, I mean, I sat there for like an hour trying to find information on her, and it's very limited. I found one YouTube video that covered her, but other than that, a Wikipedia page, one YouTube video, and her paper, just the portion of the paper. All right, David. Um, just the portion of paper that was referenced in the men's manual is the only thing I found online. I would probably have to go like look for archives to find the whole paper. But I'm kind of interested to like read her whole paper and just and then I'd like to read her book as well. But yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. Like, I never thought I would get some kind of juicy tidbit in this. And now I want to go down the deep rabbit hole, but the rabbit hole's not going anywhere because I can't find it. So yeah, I need some help with some rabbit hole investigation here. So, but yeah, if you could, I'll send you the name of the lady, and then send me your cell phone number in messages, and then I can. Hey, Patrick. Um, Yes, she is, Patrick. She's having a boy. She is. I'm so excited for her. Yeah, and then we can talk offline. Oh my goodness. The only downfall of having this studio slash office is it has a window unit, and if I have it on while I'm recording, it's too loud. So I have to be hot. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for tonight, and I will be back next Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time to continue this reading of, what was the name of the book again? Growing Up IFB, Reflections on the Toxic Environment of the Independent Baptist Movement. Thank you, Phantom. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, so we will be back next Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And with that, I will sign off. If somebody has not told you today or ever, I am proud of you.